Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. Match day 2 review of Serie A. Another great fun weekend of matches and another weekend with some shocks. I mean, let's get straight into it. You know, the cover, the thumbnail of this episode. Milan. Ay. The first game of the weekend. The game that I watched as well, of course, as an Inter fan, hate watching. And the hate watch was very, very worthwhile. Paulo Fonseca is already under a lot of pressure. And, 2 goals conceded against Torino. Okay, first game of the season, give them the benefit of the doubt. But now, away to the newly promoted team, Parma, another 2 goals conceded, and this time losing. Lots of defensive issues, the same issues that Milan fans and, neutrals, we knew the issues that were under Pioli, they're existing still, and maybe looking even worse. This Milan team, with this very high line, with this very man-oriented man-for-man press, is getting exposed. Milan's legs under Fonseca at the moment are Kim Kardashian. And you can see some of the issues there. Shout out to Ultimo Uomo. It's a blog, Italian blog that talks about football. They do some tactical analysis, and you can see here that we've done here a quick analysis on what's wrong with Milan. And it is the pressing. You can see straight away this was against Torino. Too much distances. They're trying to do a man-oriented press, but they're not getting it quite right. If you're going to be high pressing, high line, you have to commit to it fully. You can't do it half-heartedly like Leao is doing here, like Salamakis is doing here. And then like the whole team essentially did against Parma. You can see they're doing it semi-aggressively, very aggressively in this side, but then completely empty on this side. And then Parma, also we got to give credit to Parma. It's easy to also, criticize Milan, but Fabio Pecchia, the Parma coach, the way that Parma played out of the back with confidence, with technique, with clear ideas was very, very effective. And there were a few stand-up performers, but overall the whole team was really, really good. You can see here Milan pressing high, but not really committing to it fully. And then Bernabé found himself completely free because Musa, he admitted himself. I mean, this is one of the issues that Fonseca already has on his hands. I mean, the fact that Yunus Musa went to the zone after the game and he said, I wasn't sure whether to go press or to remain. And that's your DM. In this 4-2-3-1, Musa is the DM because Reinders is the one with a little bit more freedom. The fact that your DM is saying this, Fonseca, brother, like you got some issues to work through. And you can see that here. Musa didn't know whether he should leave his man and go press this guy or Theo Hernandez should come inside. And then apart from that, this is, the beginning of the stages. Afterwards, the goals that Milan conceded, it was like Theo not following his man, or, whoever the defender is not following his man all the way up until the end. A little bit of laziness or maybe lack of fitness showing. There's a lot of work to do, If Milan continue playing like this and Inter, my team, were playing them, was it Matchday 5? In a few weeks' time, if they don't resolve these problems, Inzaghi is licking his lips at the prospect of another high line in a Milan derby, just like Pioli's team used to do with these defensive frailties. Inter are going to continue eating real good. So let's see. Fonseca now has some work to do. I don't think I think talking about firing him is a little bit premature, but, Milan fans and the Milan directors probably want to see some sort of changes soon. And even in the summer, I was scared when Milan were linked to Conceição. I was scared because I think this Milan team isn't. I think in theory they want to, even on the Pioli and the way that, the transfer market, the algorithm, Moncada, everything they want to do is kind of like towards attacking and high pressing and that type of football. But in reality, for me, this Milan team is made for a deeper block counter-attack, which is how they won, the Scudetto in the second half of that year when they won it, what we used to call Leao and Inshallah, Tonali, Kessi, shielding the defense, and then, you let Leao and the others just kind of do something up front. And now it's not just Leao, now they've got a better team around Leao too. So I think they should have moved away from a purely type of coach, which is what I said with Fonseca. I do like Fonseca, but he's just a sideways step from purely, in my opinion. Very, very similar type of coach. I think they needed someone, not Antonio Conte, because obviously he was too expensive, but in Conte mold. But let's see. What do you guys think about Milan as neutrals or haters of Milan? Do you think they can bounce back or not? Let's find out. I mean, talking about bouncing back, the team that bounced back in style this past weekend, Napoli, 3-0 emphatic win against Italianos Bologna. Di Lorenzo, Kvara, Simeone, the same guys that have been there for a few years now. Kvara was man of the match, very, very easily. He was, not just the goals and assists in general. He looked like that Serie A MVP form from a couple of seasons ago. They still definitely need a striker, but it looks like Lukaku is coming. I think I'm disappointed for Raspadori. I thought Raspadori could have worked on Conte, but I think only in a 3-5-2. I think this 3-4-2-1 again doesn't suit him. I think it would only be if Conte played 3-5-2. Conte actually, if I remember correctly, we were linked with Raspadori when Conte was there. So I think he could have played that Lautaro type role, but now that Lukaku's coming in, that makes sense. And they're also getting McTominay, because one of the issues, as well as they played Napoli, Lobotka and Anguissa as a 2, especially Lobotka in a 2, he gets exposed a lot. He's great as a midfield pivot, as a regista, with keeping his passing simple, keeps things ticking over. But in a 2, he's expected to go up and down, swap roles between him and Anguissa. McTominay maybe signals a potential 3-5-2 move that Conte maybe gives him a bit more flexibility, that in some games he can go 3-5-2, some games they can go 3-4-2-1, or just swap in between Anguissa. McTominay, as much as he's a bit of a meme player for Man United and Premier League, that guy is a box crusher, a profile similar to what Frattesi is for Inter, a guy that don't expect him to have much pass completion, don't expect him to get involved in the build-up play, but he's got the legs, the engine, the football IQ to get into the box late, get some goals. I can see this guy getting 6, 7, 8 league goals if used correctly, and I think Conte will use him correctly. I mean, for Scotland, the guy was really playing up front at some points, and he was getting goals. Di Lorenzo, this is, we talked about this in the summer. Don't play him as a wing back. Play him as a right centre back of a 3. That's his position, and he even scored. Then they got David Neres that came in. He made a good impact, came on straight away with an assist. So things are starting to look up for Napoli, and I still tip them to finish in the top 4 with Conte. Not challenging for the title. I don't think they've got enough, but top 4. On the other hand, Bologna, Italiano, I predicted them to finish, I think 8th or 9th. I think 8th, yeah. So I think they're probably on par for that. But yeah, again, Erlich coming in for Calafiori is a massive, massive downgrade. And then up front, they still haven't replaced Xerxes, really. I think they're going to struggle. But they should make top half of the table. But the Italiano needs to watch out, because the Champions League games are also going to come in. So you might see this team get tired. Oh, yeah, one thing I forgot, actually, going back to the Milan game, I completely forgot. I wanted to shout out a few individual players for Parma. Obviously, I think we should all know about this man. This guy was also standout at the Euros. Even 2 or 3 years ago, when Parma were in Serie A, that's when they signed, man, and he was already quite highly rated back then. So he's just kind of living up to that potential now. But the other guys I want to talk about is this guy. He really impressed me. Boni, 20 years old, and he's an absolute tank. Absolute tank. Like Pavlovic, Tomori couldn't get near him. He was muscling them, and these two are quite, you can criticize them all you want, but in terms of physicality, Tomori and Pavlovic are right up there as the best in the league, and they couldn't get near Boni. This guy was muscling them, decent technical ability. I saw people comparing him on my Twitter. I was having speaking to one of my boys, Tony, and he was comparing him to Thuram, and I wasn't seeing it. I was seeing a lot more of bulkier, clunkier striker, but then in the second half I also saw bits of potentially a Marcus Thuram. So Inter fans, it's a guy to keep an eye out for, and hope he doesn't score too much so his price doesn't go up too much. Very, very interesting player. And then Bernabé was also very, very interesting. Won the gold with Spain at the Olympics this past summer. Very, very, Spanish midfielder. Of course, that means lovely technique, lovely passing, but also has got some dog in his game. But this guy was also very, very impressive. Koulibaly, 25 years old, very powerful right back. And Suzuki, the Japanese 22-year-old coming in, very, very impressive performance. But yeah, overall, shouts out to Pecchia and Parma. One team that didn't do very well, Roma. De Rossi, similar to Fonseca, he's under some pressure because Roma spending a lot of money this past summer. Dovbyk, Sule coming in, now keeping Dybala, Enzo Lefebvre. They're spending a lot of money, but I see some clear issues in this lineup. One that we talked about already when Sule was signed is Dybala and Sule thriving together. Sule doesn't want to be out on this wing. Neither does Dybala. They both want to be in this area. How can they make that work? Pellegrini maybe coming into that space, but again, you want Pellegrini in here, in the middle. And then there's this trio. This centre-mid trio is just probably the slowest centre-mid trio in the whole league. Cristante is probably the slowest player in the league. Paredes is much quicker. And then Pellegrini is decent pace, but again, there's not much of athleticism and physicality here to counteract. Again, Dybala's not a ground coverer, a hard worker. Sule is decent, but they got some issues there. And Angelino isn't really like a marauding fullback either. He's a bit, he's got those kind of DiMarco build, which doesn't allow him to be a marauding fullback. So they've got some structural issues there. I can see why they're trying to sign Manu Kone from Mönchengladbach. They definitely need some proper legs in that midfield. And yeah, Dovbyk is struggling with Serie A at the moment. So yeah, Roma, some work to do. But shout out to Empoli, always bringing through young players. Fazzini's in my Serie A fantasy team. He was good. Colombo's goal and assist, really good to see. Viti, this is the thing with Empoli. That's why I always like them staying up. Sebastiano Esposito came on, won a penalty. Empoli have a buy option from Inter. This is why I like Empoli. They give young Italians a chance. And then finally, Juve continue. And they're probably now, after Atalanta lost, they're probably now, only 2 match days, but if we keep like a power ranking, Juve are the most impressive team up until now in the league. Lots of interesting things to talk about with Juve. Thiago Motta's style has already been implemented. If you look at clips like this, look where Locatelli here is playing. They're being pressed very high by Verona. Look at that. You see that pass there from Bremer with his left foot. And look how easily and calmly they play out the ball from the back. And this ends up being a shot on goal. And going back to Bremer, this guy is not a ball-playing centre-back, but look at a few weeks of coaching under Thiago Motta, the change. Look at this pass into space. Didn't quite work out there. But look at this one again with his left foot. This is a right-footed centre-back, by the way. Look at that. Shifts it to Vlahovic. Boom. To Yildiz in space. Boom. And this ends up to Vlahovic. And in general, just the changes of, positions. I think teams haven't worked them out yet. 2-3-0 wins in a row. Very, very impressive until now. And again, I keep saying the way that Thiago Motta is making big decisions like Mbangula, doesn't matter who you are, from the next gen, starting straight away. Savona from next gen, starting straight away. Gatti, captain. Cabal in straight away after being bought. Big decisions. And with a very limited squad at the moment. Very, very limited squad. So very, very impressive work. But again, calm. I can see people saying like, oh, these guys are now favorites. They are making some big moves coming in, with Coop Miners coming in, with Francisco Conceição coming in. There's still talks of Nico Gonzalez. Then, yeah, with those players coming in, then we're definitely talking title contenders. But right now, with this team, with this little level of depth, I struggle to see them going for a long time. But if those few players mentioned do come in, the way, and I keep repeating it, Motta's coaching is what I think is going to make the difference with his Juve team, regardless of who they have. He's shown at Spezia and at Bologna that this guy can overachieve, and his coaching really is top notch. And I keep saying I think he's going to be the next big thing after Inzaghi now, Thiago Motta. in the Italian coaching system. But again, early days. Transfer window is still open for next couple of days, as we said, potentially Coop miners. Napoli making a few moves into getting a backup centre back. We'll see if that goes through. Atalanta still making some moves. Atalanta, as I mentioned, they were the impressive teams the first game, but then they lost to Torino. So shouts out to Vanoli and Torino. So yeah, in terms of power ranking now, I think Juve, Inter, and Parma, I would say the top three teams I've been most impressed by until now. Lecce losing 2 games in a row, and Milan probably at the bottom of that pile. You guys let me know in the comments down below. What did you make of Matchday 2? What did you make of this Juve team? What did you make of this Milan team? Is Fonseca under pressure? Is Thiago Motta's team the real deal? Should we calm down? Inter, of course, if you want to know my thoughts, watch my post-match reaction live stream of an hour from the Lecce game. Still, Inter in second or third gear at max. So still confident that Inter are favorites for this title. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Ciao ragazzi. Forza Serie A.